This right here is the all-new 2024 Ford Ranger. I'm just outside of Salt Lake City and it looks like winter wonderland. But in this video, more importantly, I'm going to show you all the way around the truck so you'll know all the features. I picked one of the most affordable ones. This is where it all starts, the STX 4x4. I'm also going to use their trailer backup assist system in their fancier version of the truck. I'm going to compare it to a Tacoma and show you how it drives. It's been a long time coming, but the new Ranger is here. It's being produced and shipped to dealers. So yes, finally, it's here. And it's only available in this configuration. It's a crew cab with a shorter 5-foot bed. So you cannot get a 6-foot bed on this one. You cannot get an extended super cab on this one. It only comes this way. Of course, you can get it in 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive. You can get it in STX, XLT, or Lariat. And you can also get it in the new Ford Ranger Raptor. But that's a whole different video. So check out oldtfl.com for that to check out the Raptor. But now let's look under the hood. Whammo! Okay, I do need to use a prop rod right here. And underneath the hood is a 2.3 liter straight 4 turbocharged engine. So it starts here and it's basically the same power plant as before. Same power level, 270 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. Some of you may say, well, this engine bay is not super attractive, but this is kind of where the industry is going because of various efficiencies and weight savings and also affordability. We usually don't get an engine cover or some sort of dressing, but this engine's been around, so I have pretty good confidence that this engine will continue to be a good power plant for this truck. 10-speed automatic across the board in every new Ranger as well, so there's no manual transmission option. And towing and payload are actually pretty good. Rangers have always been really good with payload, and this 4x4 STX has 1,650 pounds of payload. I'm quite impressed. I personally own a Chevy Colorado Trail Boss, which is basically the same configuration as this, except with slightly more beefier off-road tires. And I have about 1,500 pounds of payload, so this is a great number. Towing, let's walk around here, is still 7,500 pounds maximum. And this truck doesn't even have a hitch. So this is not a towing review. Stay tuned for that because I'm going to take one of these trucks to Colorado and do the iGauntlet with it in short order. So stay tuned for that. But towing number is 7,500 pounds. It's not class leading because both the GM trucks, the Colorado and Canyon, can be configured to tow 7,700 pounds, and also the new Jeep Gladiator can also be configured to tow 7,700 pounds. But they're all in the same region. All right, guys, let's blast into our first drive. Just flat footing it on a wet pavement. 2.3. Yeah, it's about the same as before. I mean, this truck's curb weight did not change that much. I mean, the truck grew in size, not overall size, but just the chunky frame and the wheelbase grew, and it grew a little bit in width. So it's about the same as before as far as acceleration is concerned. But that was never my complaint. We cannot drive the 2.7 liter twin turbo V6 during this event. Why? Because it's a later introduction. So Ford says the 2.7 liter twin turbo will be available in XLTs and Lariats as an option, and it's coming this summer. They didn't say exactly what month, but it's basically the same engine as in the big Bronco 4-door or 2-door with 315 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque in that V6. But my guess is that V6, the 2.7, will cost around $2,000 to $2,200 because that's how much money $2,145. That's the amount of money that Ford charges for that engine in the Bronco as an option. So if I extrapolate, it could be similar, but of course we won't know until the summer, until official numbers come out. The tailgate has been redesigned. So even on this more basic model, there's still a little strut here to help it lower in a nice way. And there's a little torsion spring, this little metal piece to help close. And I can really close it, with 2 fingers or 1 finger. They're using the little measuring stick here up to 50 inches so you can measure the fish you just caught. And also they've had this on the F-150 for a couple of years, but these little places to clamp material if you're working on your tailgate. This is a simple model, so this doesn't have a light here like some other Rangers would have, but of course it's required to have a camera, so the camera is here, and the logo is humongous, but it doesn't have a 360-degree camera, at least not this base one. If you want all the fancy features, go for the XLT with optional equipment or the Lariat with optional equipment. This truck has an optional spray and bed liner, which is about $495 from the factory, and it has 6 tie downs. 3 on this side, there's one in the front, 3 on the other side. They've made this truck 2 inches wider than before and 2 inches longer wheelbase than before. And because they made it a little bit wider, now there's at least 48 inches between wheel wells, Ford tells me, so you can lay down a 4x8 sheet of plywood or material in this bed and tie it down. But this one doesn't have a lot of optional equipment. It doesn't have lights. It doesn't have a rail for tie downs. It doesn't have additional power outlets. There's a naked panel right there. But it does have a tie down here, or bottle openers. There's a bottle opener on the other side, and there's a little hook on this side. So it does have a couple of interesting features. The North American Ranger for the US is built in Michigan at the Wayne facility. And for the North American market, Ford decided not to do a Steely. And I think that's kind of a peculiar thing. This is a base truck, but it does come with a 17-inch alloy wheel, which looks really nice. But you still, at least they're not offering something a little bit more affordable. So it kind of starts right here. And they have a selection of different tires. Lots of them are Goodyears. This is a Goodyear Wrangler Territory AT. They also have LT tires for heavier loads and some other more aggressive tires for off-roading. So the wheelbase on this truck is 128 inches. It sounds like a long wheelbase, but it's shorter than the new Colorado, the new Canyon. It's shorter than the new Tacoma. All those trucks are around 131 inches of wheelbase. So this is a little bit shorter, which could give it a little bit more maneuverability, especially off-road. Did they improve the ride of this truck? It's comfy. I mean, this road is very smooth. What's more important to me, of course, is like how it handles payload. What if you put a big camping trailer behind it? How does it handle? And that will come. That's a separate review. But in general, I mean, the steering is kind of a little bit over boosted. It's a little bit too light, but this is not a sports car. Of course, the styling in the front is new and different and matches the rest of the world. These headlamps are LED reflectors. They also offer LED projector headlamps, but I kind of like that they're upgrading their lamps for visibility. Something weird that I think is happening here is that this front bumper cover is plastic. When Ford launched the previous generation Ranger, they made a big point about American Rangers having steel bumpers, basically across the board. But this is now wearing its global face. So this front fascia matches some other Rangers in Europe, Asia, Australia, other markets. I think that's an interesting thing. But it's sectional, so if you damage a section, you might be able to replace a certain section instead of the whole fascia. I'll tell you the price of this truck closer to the end of this video, but the interior is fairly basic. This is basic cloth. There's vinyl flooring, and these seats are manually adjustable. But I don't mind this at all. This has, of course, slide. I can lift this seat higher manually. I can recline it manually. And also, even for my height, I'm about 6'3", I am comfy. The seat bottom is high off the floor. I have pretty good visibility. I have some headroom. I think it's a comfy truck. I do have a basic key still. Nothing wrong with that. Put it in here. This is the basic interior, believe it or not. 2 digital screens. It starts with this 10-inch vertical screen in the center. Some manual controls for the climate system, even though some of the climate control system is digital. In front of me is a base screen. It's an 8-inch display with my coolant temp and my fuel are done kind of on the side separately. And I'm not a huge fan of the rev counter, which is a bar versus a dial, but at least I have it. It's kind of basic plastics here in the center console, but a lot of features happening here. First of all, my 4-wheel drive system for high, for low. I don't have for auto. You would have to get a Raptor for that. I do have rear locker, traction control system, some drive modes. I also have an electric parking brake. This truck is built at the same facility as the new Bronco, the 2-door and the 4-door Bronco. So some of these features are similar to what you would find, or some of these buttons may be similar to what you would find in the Bronco, and that kind of makes sense. They're trying to reuse certain components. The new Ford Ranger has an optional Trailer Pro backup assist system that was originally introduced on the F-150, now the Super Duty has it, and now the Ranger has it. So the only thing you have to do on your trailer, and this can work with basically any bumper pull trailer like this, you have to put a sticker for contrast. For example, right now we're in a snowstorm, everything is white. If this trailer was covered with snow, then the camera system here in the back that also is used to help you back up the trailer, it may lose where the trailer is. So the sticker is important, but you don't have to measure anything. So before, in the original systems several years back, you had to measure from the ball to here, from the camera to here, but now the system is more automated except for the sticker. Now let's go in and let's go see how it backs up. The new Ranger is rated to tow up to 7,500 pounds, and that's the same rating as before, but this is the new feature now for this all new one for 2024 and beyond. So what's happening here, I have this optional Pro Trailer Backup Assist system. I'm using this knob on the center console. In order to enable it, I'm pushing the center button in order to enable the system. Then I put it in reverse. So as soon as I twist this knob, you see the steering wheel starts to move. And now the system is enabled. So what I can do is I can choose a couple of different views. I can look in real time on the side of the truck, and I have those cones that Ford set up. So I'm just releasing the brake gently, and if I turn the knob if I turn the knob right, the trailer goes right. If I turn the knob left, the trailer goes left. So the truck is figuring out what I want by me kind of using the knob instead of actually touching the steering wheel and counter steering my trailer. I'm also using my mirrors. I've been backing up trailers for over 20 years, so I have some habits. But actually this cone structure is a little bit wavy, so I have to adjust, and it's working really smoothly even in this snowy condition. My first impression is very positive. It was very smooth even in the snowstorm. Nice. The truck you see right there behind me is the all-new 2024 Toyota Tacoma. It happens to be the SR5 trim level, and the Tacoma is the best seller in the class in the US for midsize pickup trucks. If you look at last year, 2023, Toyota controls about 46% of the market. That's counting every midsize truck on the market. So Ford brought it here for comparison. This is a little trailer backup comparison, but this SR5 you see here, it does not have a tech feature for straightening out your trailer and steering, but the Ranger does. But I wanted to use this opportunity to kind of show you a little bit of the interior comparison and also comparison on payloads. This SR5 is a fairly basic truck. You can see this cloth interior, basic interior, smaller screens. TFL also owns a Tier D off-road Tacoma. We have a very similar steering wheel. Of course, Toyota Safety Sense adaptive cruise control system is on the right. Every new Tacoma has that Toyota Safety Sense 3.0 system, including this one. Has manual adjustable seats, which base Rangers now also have. As far as trim level for trim level comparison, this seat is also heated, so I can feel the heat from it. And the payload on this four-wheel drive truck is 1,200 pounds. And the SR5 is a little bit more of a base version of the Tacoma. And this is for their biggest cab. This is what they call double cab. And let me see if I can get in. Let me adjust the seat for me. I'm about 6'3". Okay, so I guess I would be sitting this way in general. They redesigned the cab of the new Tacoma, so now I have a little bit more headroom, and the seat is a little bit higher off the floor. It's a little bit more comfortable than ever before. Now if I open this rear door, and if I can get in behind myself, this is what it looks like. My knees are a little bit high here, and I just am touching the rear seat. So this is the new Taco. Now let's jump into the Ranger. This is not a complete apples to apples comparison because the Lariat Ranger is actually the highest trim level of the Ranger versus that more basic Tacoma you just saw. Let me actually, stop the beeping. This is also a 4x4 Sport Lariat. The payload on this truck is 1,551 pounds. So, but 351 pounds more payload. So that's sizable. That's, it could be 2 people worth of weight. Now let me make sure I can sit comfortably here, and let me sit behind myself. All right, so this trim level is power adjustable. Okay. This is the way I probably would sit. My knees are pretty comfy. Also really good head space, seat bottom space. They're kind of relatively similar in the front. Now let me jump into the rear. My knees are maybe a couple of millimeters lower, but look, there's a little bit of space here. There's this cutout in the seat. I feel a tiny bit more comfortable in the back seat here. So I think Ford did a good job with interior space and also the rear seat room, which is usually a complaint in a midsize truck. All right, I've made your wait long enough. You're probably wondering about pricing. Well, the new 2024 Ford Ranger starts in just below about $34,000. And like I said, there are no Steelies available, so you can't really cut that price further down. Then this is a 4x4. It's got the bed liner. It's got fog lamps. So it's got a couple of options which are pretty useful, especially the fog lamps for night driving or foggy situations. So this sticker price on this truck that I'm reviewing is $39,510. So it's under $40K. It sounds like a lot of money, but if you can compare it to my Trail Boss that I also own, that truck was $41,000. And that truck may have a little bit more ground clearance, more aggressive tires, and the hitch and the towing package. This one doesn't. So I think if I added a towing pack to this, which was about $800, I'll be right over $40K. So it's very comparable pricing to my Colorado. So I think that's good. And it's also quite competitive priced against the class leading seller, which is the Tacoma. So that's kind of my latest assessment. Thanks for joining me, and check out oltfl.com for everything automotive and also other reviews of the Ranger that are coming up very soon.